Ode to the West Wind by P.B. Shelley. Ode means we are addressing. O wild west wind, O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn being, thou from whose unseen presence the leaves dead are driven like ghosts from an enchanted fleeing. Yellow and black, yellow and black and pale and hectic red, pestilence stricken multitudes, O thou who charitest to their dark wintry bed, the winged seeds where they lie cold and low, each like a corpse within its grave, until thine azure sister of the spring shall blow her clarion. Her clarion. Thine azure sister of the spring shall blow her clarion over the dreaming earth and fill driving sweet birds like flocks to feed in the air, with living hues and odors, plain and hill, wild spirit, which are moving everywhere, destroyer and preserver, hear, oh, hear, sunja, ए ठंडी हवा सुन जा आ थम जा ए काली घटा ए पश्चिमी हवा थम जा. So P.B. Shelley in this first stanza is talking about this ode to the west wind. So my dear, Ode to the West Wind is a poem addressed to the west wind. It is personified both as destroyer and preserver. It is seen as a great power of nature that destroys in order to create, that kills the unhealthy and decaying to make way for the new and fresh. The personification of the west wind as an enchanter, as a wild spirit, is characteristics of Shelley's poetry. Shelley's personifications of the west wind can be called myth, poesies, another kind of metaphor. This poem is divided into 5 stanzas or 5 parts. Each stanza consists of 14 lines. The rhyming scheme is ABA, BCB, CDC, DED, and a rhyming concept at the end. What this stanza 1 says. The poet addresses the west wind as wild. O wild west wind. O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn being. The poet addresses the west wind as wild and the breath of autumn's being. It is a powerful force which drives the dead leaves, which are yellow, black, pale, and hectic red, to distant places like ghosts from an enchanter. Try to understand, my dear friend, why this poem is enabled by MBB University to study to you. MBB University wants you to be brave, bold, and powerful, like west wind. Oh, wild west wind, you breathe the autumn of being, you from whose unseen presence the leaves dead are driven like ghosts. My dear friend, those who are not equal to you, as powerful as you are, you must try to compete them, are driven like ghosts from an enchanter flame. जैसे जादूगर अपनी जादू की छड़ी लेकर भूत प्रेत को भगा देता है, ऐसे ही उन कमजोर पीली, काली और येलो, पीली और जो पेल कमजोर पड़ गई हैं, उन पत्तियों को हवा उड़ा देती है, और जो हल्की हल्की लाल रंग भी हैं. The poet addresses the west wind as a wild and the breath of autumn being. It is powerful force which drives the dead leaves, which are yellow, black, pale, and hectic red, to distant places like ghosts from an enchanter. The west wind carries winged seeds to their dark wintry beds underground, which remain there still. The west wind sister in the spring season. There is also a lot of spirit within you, a lot of power within you, a lot of seeds within you. You need to understand yourself. You need to understand your power. You have to understand your spirit. Touch the sky with the glory. The west wind carries winged seeds to their dark wintry beds underground, which remains there till the west wind sister in the spring season blows. And these seeds then blossom into sweet, scented flowers. I want you also to be the great, powerful, nationalist and patriot citizens of the Mother India. To be brave, bold, powerful, like out to the west wind, like west wind. Blows, and these seeds then blossom into sweet, scented flowers. You must also bloom like sweet, scented flowers. The earth then will be alive. Then your parents also will be very happy, your teachers will be very happy, and the nation will feel proud of you. The earth then will be alive. You are also young and powerful. With these living lives or colors and scents or fragrance. In this way, the west wind acts both as a destroyer and a preserver. As a destroyer and as a preserver. So, my dear friends, you need to understand yourself. Your positivity and your negativity. Your positive values, the love, faith, sincerity, devotion, affection, gratitude, dedication, dutifulness, nationalism, patriotism, service to the nation, or dishonesty, anger, lechery, wrath, all these are evil spirits, negative thoughts. Say them bye-bye. Have the positive attitude within. O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn being, thou from whose unseen presence the leaves dead are driven like ghost, from an enchanter fleeing, yellow and black and pale and hectic red. Pestilence stricken multitude. O thou who chariotest to the dark wintry bed, the winged seeds where they lie cold and low, each like a corpse within its grave, and until thy azure sister of the spring shall blow her clarion. शंखनाद बजा दिया है, और जब वो शंखनाद बजाएगी तुम्हारी अजूर सिस्टर, एक नई भावना जागेगी, एक नया जन्म होगा, एक नई स्पिरिट जागेगी. Thy azure sister of the spring shall blow her clarion over the dreaming earth and fill driving sweet birds like flocks to feed in air. With living hues and odors, plain and hill, wild spirit which are moving everywhere. Destroyer and praiser, hear, oh hear. सुन जा ऐ पश्चिमी हवा, थम जा, रुक जा, सुन जा. In second stanza, we see the poet P.B. Shelley. Again and again I'll say, remember another poem of the romantic poet William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of the night. The same spirit you will find here, the love for freedom and escapism and individualism you'll find in this poem too. All the characteristics. Thou on whose stream mid the steep sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed, shook from the tangled bugs of heaven and ocean, angels of rain and lightning, there are spread on the blue surface of thine airy surge. On the blue surface of thine airy surge, like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fierce man, even from the dim verge of the horizons to the zenith's height, the locks of the approaching storm thou dost of the dying year, to which this closing night will be the dawn of a vast sepulchre, vaulted with all thy congregated might of vapors, from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail will burst. O hear, O hear. सुन जा ए पश्चिमी हवा सुन जा. Thou, you. Second stanza, what it says? The Shelley, P.B. Shelley, the poet, romantic poet, describes the powerful effect of the west wind in the sky. First we saw on the earth. Now we feel the impact of the west wind in the sky. Touch the sky with the glory. P.B. Shelley, the romantic poet, the revolutionary poet, the powerful poet, emphasizes, says, or describes the powerful effect of the west wind in the sky. The west wind breaks away the clouds like earth's decaying leaves from the buds of heaven. After being plucked, these assume the fierce posture of black rain and hail. These rain clouds are compared to the outspread hair covering the sky from its horizon to its zenith. The wildness and confusion in the sky is compared to some fierce minute. The worshipper of Bacchus, the Greek god of wine, Manet worships God in frenzied fashion, uplifting her hair like tangled clouds. These indicate the approaching storm. The west wind becomes a dirge funeral song, sad song, which is being sung for the dying year. The night becomes a vast storm where vapors have been built like arches and will soon come down as rain and hail. My dear students, feel the spirit, how this poem wants to develop, inculcate these powerful values in you. Thou on whose stream mid the steep sky's commotion, motions and commotions. Loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed in the form of the dewdrops. Rain, shook from the tangled bugs of the heaven and ocean, angels of rain and lightning. Rain and lightning. Vrashti poche, vidyut portitoch. They are spread on the blue surface of thine airy surge, like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fierce maned even from the dim verge of the horizon to the zenith's height, the locks of the approaching storm, thou does of the dying year, to which this closing night will be the dawn of a vast sepulchre, vaulted with all my congregated might, of vapors from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail will burst. O hear, hear, O hear. My dear students, in the third stanza, thou. In the third stanza, the poet says, thou who didst waken from his summer dreams the blue Mediterranean where he lay, lulled by the coil of his crystalline streams, beside Epiomai's islet in Bay's Bay, and saw in sleep old palaces and towers, querying within the waves' intenser day, all overgrown with azure, moss and flowers. Oh sweet, the sands faint picturing them. Oh sweet, the sands faint picturing them. Thou who didst waken from his summer dreams the blue Mediterranean where he lay, lulled by the coil of his crystalline streams, beside Epiomai's islet in Bay's Bay, and saw in sleep and palaces and towers, querying within the waves' intenser day, all grown with azure moss and flowers. So sweet the sands faints picturing them, thou for whose birth the Atlantic's level flowers cleave themselves into chasm, cleave themselves into chasm, while far below the sea blooms and the oozy woods which wear the sapless foliage of the ocean know thy voice, and suddenly grow grave with fear, thy voice, and suddenly grow grave with fear, and tremble and despoil themselves here, oh, here, oh, here. So, my dear students, you can sing this poem. I'm not able to sing as you can. You're the better singer than me. Your voice is more melodious and more harmonious than me. Stanza 3. In this stanza, poet P.B. Shelley says the western blows over the blue Mediterranean Sea, which has been described as a vast sleepy snake, which dreams of old civilization, palaces and towers, rich in flowers and vegetation. The sea sees old palaces and towers in sleep, which quiver when the west wind blows. When the west wind blows, your power can awake the spirit. As we know, we have already know that man, so long blinded, suddenly opened its eyes and seen how beautiful this world is. So you must have within love for power, love for knowledge, love for humanism, love for freedom, liberty, and to do something innovative in this world so that the world can understand you and you can become immortal like P.V. Shelley and his poem. The west wind blows over the blue Mediterranean Sea, which has been described as a vast sleepy snake, which dreams of the old civilization, palaces and towers, rich in flowers and vegetation. The sea sees old palaces and towers and sleep, which queer when the west wind blows. West wind has the power to awaken the spirit. Both the Mediterranean and the Atlantic seas are affected by the west wind. The Atlantic surface. In fact, my patriotic spirit sometimes denies me not to say you, but I would like to say the west wind means it may be the Western culture. The west wind may be that power of the Western people, that means English people, those who were very brave, bold, and powerful and ruled all over the earth, and their sun never set. But nowadays, the world is changed. During this corona period, you find even your Narendra Modi is shining like anything. He's being appreciated by World Health Organization also. So he also has a lot of spirit. We can learn from him too. He sleeps for a very short period, for 3 to 4 hours. But how nicely he is becoming very powerful, brave, and bold, and with the help of the surgical strike and other thing, is trying to do very well and very good for the nation. The British people were also very much nationalist and patriotic in spirit. And that is what. Pay attention once again. The sea sees old palaces and towers in sleep, which queer when the west wind blows. Both the Mediterranean and the Atlantic seas are affected by the west wind. The Atlantic surface gets cut into chasm to make way for the west wind, and the vegetation blows, the surface trembles in fear at the force of the west wind. So, who is the west wind here? You are the west wind here. It is your power. You can awaken the sleeping spirit of your nation if you're the true citizen, if you want to be the true citizen of the country. My dear students, P.B. Shelley in this poem, stanza 4th, singing melodiously and saying to you, you also feel sometimes, काश मैं भारत का प्रधानमंत्री होता, काश मैं भारत का प्रेसिडेंट होता. If I were the president of India, if I were the prime minister of India, if I were the chief minister of Tripura, if I were the education minister of Tripura, you must also be feeling, तो मैं क्या करता. So this is one kind of thought which you can feel or you can correlate that this poem wants to infuse this powerful thought in you. If I were a dead leaf, see now who is the more powerful? What the poet is saying. If I were a dead leaf, if I were a dead leaf, if I were a dead leaf, thou mightest bear, if I were a swift cloud to fly with thee, a wave to paint beneath thy power and share the impulse of thy strength, only less free than thou, O uncontrollable, if even I were as in my boyhood, and could be the comrade of the wanderings over heaven, the comrade of the wanderings over heaven, as then went to outstrip thy sky speed, scarce seemed vision. I would never have striven as thus with thee in prayer in my sore need. Oh, lift me as a wave, or lift me as a wave, or lift me as a leaf, or lift me as a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. A heavy weight of hours had chained and bowed. A heavy weight of hours had chained and bowed. One to like thee, tameless and swift and proud. Tameless and swift and proud. My dear students, in this stanza, we find the poet to be very emotional. The west wind now becomes a personal force. If I were a dead leaf, and you mightest bear. The west wind now becomes a personal force. The poet says that if he were a dead leaf, a swift cloud, a wave, he could experience the west wind's power and its strength. My dear friends, remember when John Keats says, I want to fly with thee into the deep, dim forest. Now, here the P.B. Shelley is saying the same thing. The west wind's power and strength is also feeling. The west wind now becomes a personal force. The poet says that if he were a dead leaf, a swift cloud, a wave, he could experience the west wind's power and its strength. In the childhood, the poet had the power and strength and could probably outspeed the west wind. But now, the poet no longer has the strength as he has been weakened by the problem and burdens of life. And burdens of life. And the same thing. John Keats is also saying, here nobody is there on this earth to hear each other's fever and the fever and fret, each other's groan, each other's suffering, problems, worries, tensions. Nobody's there. The same way here, P.B. Shelley is also trying to say, The poet had the power and strength and could probably outspeed the west wind in the childhood, but now he no longer has the strength as he has been weakened by the problems and burdens of life, by fever and frets of the life, by listening to each other's sufferings and tension, the worries, and he is no longer tameless, swift, and proud as he used to be in his childhood. He is no longer as free as he's supposed to be in the childhood, as he was in childhood. He is blushing as he has fallen on the thorns of life. He is feeling what he says. I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. मैं मेरा जीवन भीष्म पितामह की तरह, जैसे भीष्म पितामह के लिए तीरों की शैया बनाई गई थी, ठीक उसी तरह कांटों पर जैसे मेरी सैया हो, और मैं उन कांटों से पूरा लहू लुहान हो गया हूं. आई फॉल अपॉन द थॉर्न्स ऑफ लाइफ, आई ब्लीड. He's blushing as he has fallen on the thorns of life, meaning he's facing many problems, many tensions, many worries, many miseries. He's facing, and one has to face. My dear, you also have to face. If you want to be powerful, if you want to be brave, if you want to do something unique, if you want to do something new and innovative, you will also face a lot of problems. But you should not be afraid of, because Alfred Lord Tennyson says, we may be weak by fate and time, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. That must be the spring. That must be the spirit. He is blushing as he has fallen on the thorns of life, meaning he's facing many problems, many crises, many stresses, many worries in his life, which has drawn away all his strength and power, and he's now looking up to the west wind, requesting him for west wind's help. So, my dear students, see how nicely this stanza is composed by the poet. If I were a dead leaf and thou mightest bear, if I were a sweet cloud to fly with thee, काश मैं बादल होता और तेरे साथ उड़कर चलता, काश मैं एक सूखी पत्ती होता और तू मुझे अपने साथ उड़ा कर ले जाती. A wave to plant beneath the power, a wave to pant beneath thy power. लहर लहर लहराती लहरें, समुद्र की वो लहर होता जो आगे बढ़ाती रहती है. And share the impulse of thy strength, only less free. और तेरी इस ताकत को मैं शेयर कर पाता. I were as in, if even I were as in my boyhood and could be the comrade of my wanderings over heaven. कोई लौटा दो मुझे मेरे वो बचपन के दिन, वो स्वतंत्रता, लिबर्टी और फ्रीडम के दिन. But every time is not childhood days. We have grown up. We have more responsibilities. Higher the rank and higher the responsibility. More the seniors and more the responsibility. If even I were as in my boyhood and could be the comrade of thy wanderings over heaven, as Dan went to outstrip thy sky's speed, scarce seems a vision. I would never have striven as thus with thee in prayer in my sore need. Oh, west wind, oh, lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. Remember again the Paradise Lost, John Milton says. Illumine what in me is dark, rage and support, so that I may justify the wage of God to man. He is also saying here, oh, lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. A heavy weight of hours had chained and bowed one to like thee, tameless and swift and proud.